Okay, today is the fourth session. There are more points to cover today. Uh, in terms of both Shamatha and Vipassana, this is the third point, which I will explain about the self-nature of Shamatha and Vipassana, or one-pointedness, or insight. Now, what is shamatha? It's the self-nature of shamatha, which means you sit down calmly and sitting the right posture, and then you start to focus on something. So basically, one has to fully present, and one has to only focus that whatever you choose to focus, and to remain as long as possible. This is called shamatha. And now, what is the self-nature of vipassana? The moment we get calmness, total concentration, and shamatha, vipassana, or insight, the function of vipassana is to analyze, try to understand deeply as much as possible. Basically, vipassana is analytical tool to analyze, to study, to basically to understand totally from what we have visualized. So this is basically is the self nature of shamatha and vipassana. The fourth point is, what is the object of shamatha? The object of one-pointedness is, you may have choose whatever object. One may just visualize in one's mind, or one may focus externally using statues or whatever, basically using something as an object to focus. Okay, so could be anything externally or internally. So basically, not to let your mind wander somewhere else. So basically, to be fully present. Okay, so on chosen object. So could be any object. Okay, this is called the object of shamatha. And now, what is the object of insight or vipassana? We call it lang thong, shine and lang thong. So whatever we have chosen earlier to focus, could be our mind, could be our thought, could be happiness, whatever it may be. So basically, the aim and the focus will be on whatever that object chosen by one-pointedness, and vipassana again will focus on that particular object and try to penetrate deeply as much as possible to fully understand whatever is the object. That is the. So these are the objects of both one-pointedness or insight. So these are the different. Now, the actual shamatha and vipassana we may not have, because as an ordinary practitioner, we have to train. You have to practice as much as possible, and only when we achieve physical pliancy and mental pliancy, and that is the time that actually we can practice true shamatha and vipassana. So in this sense, one can say that whatever we are practicing now is not actual vipassana, or not actual shamatha and vipassana, because we call it not Tenyipa, or not actual shamatha and vipassana. So only when we are able to practice actual shamatha and shamatha and vipassana, when we acquire the state of pliancy, physical and mental pliancy. So until then, whatever we practice is not extraordinary, just an ordinary shamatha as a practitioner, or ordinary practitioner. That what how we practice. So these are the differences. So now the fourth point is about terms of kind. So there are many kinds of shamatha, ordinary, extraordinary, even vipassana. There are many kinds. So I would like to say more about this kinds. So basically, you just have to understand what shamatha means and what vipassana means. So both are very, very critical. Now, the fifth point explains why we have to practice shamatha first and why we have to practice vipassana later. Why not vipassana first and shamatha later? The reason here is it is also because of because shamatha is more gross. One point is more gross, and vipassana is more subtle. Okay, so in order to really practice well, first, we must have a focus. Because if you can't focus on any object, then you can't analyze. You can't analyze. If you wish to take a good picture, the object has to be very steady. Otherwise, if you take a picture, then you may get a very blurred picture. So in order to take a good picture, one must have something standing there. The object cannot be moving all the time. So similarly, in order to really analyze deeply, we must have a focus. And this is the reason why Shantideva said that we must first have a focus and then we start to analyze. And this is the reason why we learn first shamatha and later on vipassana. And this is mainly, again, advice for most beginners. We learn step by step. But there are other students. If their students are very, very qualified, in Tibetan we call it chikcharwa. If in such case, then one may first instruct the student about vipassana and shamatha later. This can be done. But for most students, the best way to practice well is to actually begin with shamatha and vipassana. Because, for instance, if I give you an example, if you want to have a light by using candle, and if this if you hold this candle in the windy areas, you can't have a strong light to brighten the whole place, because the flame will be always disturbed by the wind and it may blow away. Then you may not have light. So one has to find a place where there's no wind. That's called shamatha. And then then you can focus and you can see things. So this is very, very important in terms of practicality. I think that's what it is. Otherwise, it is impossible to really practice efficiently or meaningfully. Now, and why? No, I will explain why. The sixth point: why it is important to practice both. Why both shamatha and vipassana are important. If we do not have focus, concentration, then we may not able to actually realize the truth of everything. In order to realize, we must have a focus. So focus is very, very important. Now, is that enough? Yes, when you have a focus, one may be prevented from all kinds of act of non-virtue. But it will be not so effective to eradicate all the poison. So basically, shamatha help us to tame our mind, so we may able to somehow control our thoughts. However, there are many poison or many different forms of levels of defilement. Then many of the defilements are inactive, inactive. So we may not able to eradicate such defilement. And also, most importantly, without the tool of vipassana, we may not be able to eradicate the sources of samsara. Therefore, both are very, very essential to practice unionly. Now, how we are able to practice shamatha and vipassana in unified form? This is only possible when we accomplish total master. When you master the 9 different stages of concentration, when we acquire physical and mental pliancy, otherwise it's not possible. So when we acquire such state, now when we have to focus, there's a lot of effort that we have to put in. However, when we reach such level, the effort is not required. You are able to sit quiet, at the same time fully present. This will happen when you master the technique. And this is the time, like now, the moment when we have a right focus, then we start to analyze. Again, we need effort. But what happens is when you acquire such skill, when you acquire pliancy, physical and mental pliancy, and then we don't have to make effort. The moment when you focus on something, the tool of analytical wisdom will be fully present, and without any effort, it will be just naturally there. So we don't have to make any effort. It's like when you have a glass of water and you pour another glass of water into that same cup. We won't be able to differentiate between the cups of 2 water. So this will take place when you master the technique of shamatha, and then it helps also to master the technique of vipassana. So of course, first it is very important as a student to master the technique of shamatha, and slowly we will master the technique of vipassana. So this will come both, eventually, but then this takes time and right effort. Now, one may wonder what are the effects, what are the benefits of meditation? That's what we all want to know. Otherwise, we don't want to make so much of effort, spend so much of time. Otherwise, we may just relax, doing something else. Now, according to the text, Gondel explains that when we practice shamatha, we are able to clear our mind from all kinds of defilements. And when we practice vipassana, then we are able to clear all kinds of defilement that obscures our wisdom. So these are the benefit. And if you say the positive effect of, if I explain the positive effect of shamatha, one will lose interest in worldly dharmas. One will not see material wealth as something very, very important. Otherwise, many of us think that these are very, very important, and we spend our whole life acquiring, and until when our old hair grows gray, when we know this, then we may not have a time to enjoy. So we don't have to go through all this hustle. And also, by practicing shamatha on daily basis, we're able to, acquire miraculous power, like bodhisattvas and Buddha and bodhisattvas, that we're able to foresee things, or we are able to see past and future and everything. Okay, and in future, and we will able to acquire the body of God, reborn in God realm. So there are so many benefits that when we practice shamatha. Okay, and this also prevent us from mental exhaustion, because when our mind is so busy, and this is where all the stress comes. So shamatha is able to to let us relax. So immediate effect of temporal benefit of shamatha is to acquire temporary relief from all this stress and so forth. Okay. And now, what is the benefit of vipassana? What is the benefit of vipassana? You are able to bring tremendous happiness to all beings, because you know what is right and what is wrong by telling them, by leading them to the source of happiness. This will bring tremendous happiness to all beings. And of course, one will basically, vipassana means seeing extra. So one will see the truth, the essence of everything. Then this will bring us realization. And this is the tool that we are able to cross this ocean of samsara. So this is very, very important. Of course, if you say in terms of final benefits, the final benefits to acquire enlightenment. And this is the goal of our practice of shamatha and vipassana. So interestingly, Gampopa have given few examples, advice why we need to embrace shamatha and vipassana. Maybe I would like to explain briefly. He explains what is the cause of shamatha. He say the cause of shamatha is we must keep our promises, commitments unbrokenly. If we somehow broken due to laziness, due to other factors, immediately we have to regret and ask for forgiveness. And what is the cause of vipassana? Of course, one has to acquire wisdom through listening and through contemplation. This is very, very important. Of course, then we have to look for a qualified teacher. And what is the function of vipassana? As I explained, one would be free from in the imprison of all forms of defilements. Okay, and the function of vipassana is to free from ignorance, which is the main source of suffering. And ignorance is the one that which imprison us for many, many lifetimes. Okay, we will be free from such imprisonment. And what is the main obstacle of vipassana? One point in this, to have an attachment to body and wealth. And what is the obstacle or hindrances to vipassana is to not to have enough or understanding, or may not have enough chance to actually the teaching based on about vipassana. Okay, and busy mind. This means like if you remain in this this like cities, or even in the forest where there's too much of noises. Again, this will affect both shamatha and vipassana. And so if you say terms of main obscuration, which really affects our shamatha, then is agitation, dullness, and doubt will affect our shamatha, because it affects our tranquility and calmness. And sluggishness, sleepiness will affect our vipassana. Uh, and mental exertion and malicious intention will affect both, according to Gompopa. So when we are able to basically overcome sluggishness and sleepiness, then we overcome the main hindrances of shamatha. When we overcome agitation and untimely regret, will overcome the obstacle of vipassana. And so so when we overcome all this, and this will lead to nirvana, which is enlightenment. Okay, and for this reason, I think it's so important to know about this thing. And so far, I've briefly touched the very important points about what shamatha means, what vipassana means, how we can, master these techniques. And I'll be recording another 2 more sessions. This will be all about now the practice, how we practice and meditate. So next session, I will talk about how to sit, what to visualize. So this will I will share for in next session. Thank you.